Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, December 30th. Some interesting weather to talk about here over the next few minutes. First of all, we have an ongoing stratospheric warming event, and who knows what kind of impact that will have on the U.S. weather pattern during the month of January. Oftentimes, it brings some cold air outbreaks into the central and eastern part of the U.S., and we'll just have to focus in on that over the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, we have a couple of systems to deal with in the eastern part of the nation. One at the end of the week, in the Friday night time frame, that could begin as a brief period of sleet and or freezing rain in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region. It'll turn out to be primarily a rain event, however. Then after a mild day on Saturday, a second system will close in on the Mid-Atlantic coastline by early Sunday. It'll have some colder air to work with, probably odds favor rain in the I-95 corridor region, but it'll be a kind of a close call, and we'll have to focus in on that threat over the next couple of days. Let's start off by looking at the current snow cover analysis around the northern hemisphere. Pretty impressive extent of snow cover right now. We're looking at kind of a top-down view. This is the North Pole right over here, and the blue represents ice, by the way, and the white snow. Here's the U.S. over here, and a good part of the northern U.S. has some snow cover right in this region right here, and a lot of Siberia and Asia is covered by snow. Notice kind of a lack of snow across Europe right now, and that's kind of interesting because they have some cold and some snow coming over the next 5 or 10 days or so. In fact, we'll take a look here at the forecast map from last night's GFS in terms of snow potential over the next 5 or 10 days or so across Europe. But again, right now, as we close out the month of December, pretty widespread extent of snow in the northern hemisphere. And here's the forecast map for Europe for the next 10 days, total snowfall amounts. And you can see quite extensive in some areas, 1 to as much as 2 feet of snow in this stretch right here of Europe. So while they do not have much snow cover in Europe at the moment here, it looks like over the next 5 or 10 days or so they will. And oftentimes this time of the year, what happens in Europe kind of comes to the eastern part of the U.S. Down the road a bit. So this is perhaps an indication of more snow coming to the eastern U.S. during the month of January. Well, another phenomenon we've been monitoring in recent days is stratospheric warming event that is unfolding right now. This is a current look at the temperature pattern way up at the top of the stratosphere, 10 millibar, the top of the atmosphere at the stratospheric level of 10 millibars. North Pole right in this region right here, and the U.S. down here. And typically this time of the year you have a polar vortex sitting near or over the North Pole, but there can be stratospheric warming, and indeed that's what is going on right here. This is a much higher temperature pattern here on the Asian side of the pole, and here is that temperature legend right here. We're seeing much warmer conditions over on the other side of the pole as compared to near the pole, and oftentimes this sets off a chain of events where it displaces the polar vortex, and in turn that can kind of release the bottled up Arctic cold over the polar region into the middle latitude. So we'll see exactly what kind of an impact this may have on the weather across Canada and the U.S. during the month of January, but certainly something we will monitor. And again, it can lead to cold air outbreaks into the central and eastern part of the nation a couple of weeks after the unfolding of the stratospheric warming event. Well, let's kind of focus in on the near term here. Again, we have 2 different systems to deal with in the eastern part of the nation. One in the Friday night time frame that could be cold enough at the onset for some sleet and freezing rain in the suburbs of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. And then we have a second system likely to deal with Sunday into Sunday night, something that should form and intensify along the Mid-Atlantic coastline. For today, high pressure generally in control. However, there are plenty of clouds around, and it'll be moderately cold with those clouds around. And then we kind of look to the north and west. Cold frontal system will start to It'll be pushed to the south and east, trailing that low pressure system by early tomorrow. That'll be pushing into the southeastern part of Canada. This frontal system will have some moisture with it, but that will tend to dry out a bit, weaken a bit by the time it reaches the I-95 corridor region. You see it kind of falls apart here by early tomorrow. Expect a couple of rain showers later tonight into the morning hours in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor, but not a heavy rain event. That cold front just drives a little bit to the south and east of the I-95 corridor region, and then by Friday morning, high pressure will build to the north. It'll kind of intensify up across New England and the southeastern part of Canada. It'll be a dry air mass as well as a chilly air mass, and that dryness will kind of help to hold off the onset of the precipitation until the midday or afternoon hours in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. But it can be just cold enough for a brief period of sleet and or freezing rain early Friday, midday Friday in the northern and western, some of the northern and western suburbs of the big cities along the I-95 corridor region. The main area of low pressure will head up towards the Great Lakes, well to the west of the I-95 corridor. Let's push forward here. You can see some sleet, maybe some freezing rain pushing into at least the central part of Pennsylvania, northern Maryland, northern Virginia. Then it all expands to the north and east. Again, watch for a brief period of sleet and freezing rain well to the north and west of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City at the onset of this late week storm system, primarily accumulating snow in the upper part of the Midwest. That pushes on into the southeastern part of Canada by early Saturday, and there will not be an influx of cold air behind this initial low pressure system. In fact, Saturday will be an unseasonably mild day in the I-95 corridor region of the Mid-Atlantic, with high temperatures well up in the 50s in many areas. But then a cold frontal system does drag through here by Saturday night, and at the same time, low pressure will form along the Mid-Atlantic coastline by early Sunday. It'll have an influx of colder air, marginally cold air, probably still favoring rain in the big cities of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City from the second system on Sunday and Sunday night. But it's a close call, and we'll have to see if snow can become a player from this late weekend storm system that again will intensify along the Mid-Atlantic coastline and then finally pull away or pull up to the north and east by Sunday night and Monday. Could end up producing some decent snow in parts of New England by Sunday night, early Monday. So a lot going on, still an active weather pattern. We have one system that will bring precipitation to the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley on Friday and Friday night, a mild day on Saturday in much of the eastern part of the nation. Then a second system throws some precipitation our way Sunday night time frame. Meanwhile, all this time there'll be a stratospheric warming event unfolding and continuing, and we'll see what kind of impact that could have on the weather pattern during the month of January. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.